of Andrews. I think everyone has seen the video in here, right?
Right.
Because I made the
I'm
guys
not
watch
sure
it
about
last
that.
night.
Yeah, I had to close my eyes though.
So ask him questions, kind of like breaking down the movie, what some of the things you remember that you may want to know. Why did you do it a certain way, or where are you taking this? So
Yeah.
have at it.
Whatever you guys want to know, I'm happy to talk about it. And thanks for watching, by the way. I really appreciate it.
Well, they had no choice. I made them.
No, I had to hit the add YouTube app. And I slept with the lights on last night. No.
That's funny.
What was the most difficult part for you overall? Everything.
Overall, honestly, it was actually the CGI in the end. It's funny because for a lot of folks, probably the initial production would have been the hardest in terms of filming and principal photography and all that stuff. But for this production, everything just sort of lined up, and that went really, really well. But when it came time to doing all the CGI creature creation, I really, really struggled because I wanted to make something that was really sort of menacing and not just a cliche of what we've already seen before. So I really tried hard to find something that, sorry, I'm hearing something else.
We're on ourselves.
Yeah, so anyway, so getting the CGI to really work was a big deal, and I wasn't going to let it go until it was right. So, yeah, I mean, I hope it worked out. We were looking for, I realized when I was making this creature, what does a shadow look like when it comes from 2 dimensions to 3 dimensions? And at first I was way overdoing it. I was making sort of these really ornate creatures and stuff, and they just kind of looked cheesy, and so I started scaling back. And then I realized, and this will kind of gross you guys out, but I saw a picture of a cadaver, and there was something really sort of menacing about that. And so I kind of based it off of that, but then I elongated all the features to be like a shadow. And then once I didn't give it any facial features, then it all of a sudden became scarier to me because it was harder to read. If something doesn't have eyes to look at, you can't read emotion, and there's something more ominous about it. So that was a tough one. It really was.
Did you do the CGI yourself, or did you have a crew put that together?
I had a few people working on it with me. I mean, there's only 3 of us, actually, to be honest. So we had one guy specializing in doing all the animation in terms of joints and animating, all that kind of stuff. Somebody else who was specializing in the 3D mapping, and then I did sort of the character creation. I use my hands like that means anything. Yeah, so it wasn't that many people, but it was the hardest part because everything else was looking great, and then I couldn't sort of fall down at the last minute and have the creature not be up to par. So I was worried up until the end, whether we were going to get it right.
So you think you got it right in the end? You're happy with it? Obviously,
I hope so. You know what? It's so hard when you do these kind of things. I mean, if I'm totally honest, there's always stuff I'd like to change and improve. So when we go and make the full feature, honestly, I think the thing I would like to do when we do go and make the full feature is I'm going to make as much of it practical as I can and go for real creature makeup and costume for as much as possible, because I just think there's something much more scary about something that's actually there, and then I'll just augment with CGI. I didn't have the luxury of being able to do that on this one, so I did the best I could. But yeah, I think the more real I can make it, the better.
Did you film? Sorry, when did you film the all the stuff, and how long did it take you to go from the film to where you're at?
That's such a funny compressed timeline. From the time I decided I'm going to actually try and shoot this, it was only about a week, and it was only because the right set of circumstances lined up. And then the shoot itself was only 2 days long. But after that, the editorial and the CGI and all the posts, that was a couple of months. So it was all reversed. The hardest part took the shortest amount of time, or what should have been the hardest part, and then the post-production just took forever. Or at least it felt like it was forever.
So you're still going to work in my dramatic death, right?
Yes. You were falling off a building.
Yes.
You're going to do the building dive for me. You promised.
I know I did. We'll do it.
I'm working on that in real life at CES. I'll stage it perfectly.
Wait, what? You're working on...
I work with
Creighton and I work together, and we'll be going to CES 2013.
Oh, very cool.
If they could get the press badges.
That won't be a problem.
Oh, I have one of those. Those are easy to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They give them to anyone, even Kim.
Especially at NAB.
Do you want to go down that road with me?
I think we already turned down that road, and I'm going back now. There's a shadow monster, Tracy.
Okay.
She'll become the shadow monster and come after you.
I'm
Try to
worried
sleep with your
already.
lights on, or that shadow is going to come get you.
Did everything just flow for you in terms of the creative? Because obviously you had the vision in your head, and that's what made the shoot really easy. But the thing that really stuck in my mind was the last line, and that was like the real kicker for me.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, you know, that did flow pretty easily. And mostly because the feature script had already been developed. So when we wanted to do the teaser, we were kind of pulling out not exactly a direct scene, but something that would sort of represent the fuller movie. And that came together pretty quickly. And then I was working with my cinematographer, a guy named Duran Keat, who is an amazing DP, and he and I sort of developed the look pretty quickly. We kind of took it a lot from the gaming sort of vibe, looking at a lot of like Biohazard and games like that, or Bioshock, and just trying to go for really moody lighting and all that stuff. So the look and feel of it came together pretty quickly. The sort of concept and script of that came together pretty quickly. And I don't know if you know the full story, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating it to a few people, but I happen to be shooting a commercial because I shoot a lot for commercial stuff for Nike and Adidas, and we were in Richmond, Virginia shooting a commercial, and Spielberg was there shooting his Lincoln movie, and they were on a bit of a break, so all these actors were just kind of hanging out waiting for them to get production back up and going. So I thought, you know what, I've got this gear for the commercial, I've got the crew, I'm going to totally Shanghai them and then steal a bunch of Spielberg's actors and make this. So we found this incredible location that was like an old Civil War armory that I swear to God, if we had like $1 million, we could not have done better art direction than what was already there. So yeah, that was kind of, it all kind of lined up and we just went with it. I knew we were going to do this for a while, but I didn't know exactly when the best time was. And then with the Spielberg production there, I'm like, you know what, I got to take advantage of this. So it was a bit of a guerrilla effort, but I think it kind of paid off.
Absolutely.
Yay! I think that's where things come in can line up when you're in business. That you take advantages of the opportunities that come for you, that get presented to you, and you do it unafraid.
Yeah.
And in seeing how everything is unfolding, it's unfolding like it is simply because you took some bold steps way back when to film this. And now you're taking an even bolder step to say, hey, I want the social media community to help build this now, to get the following now instead of waiting.
Well, can I be honest with you? To be totally honest, that really is in some ways the scariest part. When you finish the thing, you think you've got something that might be cool, but it was really important to me to share it with fellow fans, because we've talked about this a little bit before, but fans of like the gaming community, horror and thriller genre fans, they're so passionate and they're so loyal, and I really wanted these kind of people to sort of embrace it first before we shared it to the studios. So in some ways, doing it was one step, but sharing it with everybody was kind of the scariest part of all. So I hope you guys liked it, and I hope you pass it on and pass it around to other people.
You know what I find is interesting? You know, we've known each other for about a week now or so, and you're a normal guy. You know, you're not like a dark mysterious guy. How does a guy who's normal, who probably went to college and who probably has a regular relationship, how do you go from that to this, this monster television?
It's funny. I live in LA, and I do a lot of film industry stuff. And I was at this, I don't know, it was something totally random, like a holiday party. And I was talking to this guy. He was sort of an older guy, really mellow. And we got up to this conversation. He was like the sweetest guy and totally this hippie guy, sort of free love and all this stuff. And I finally introduced myself and said, "Hey, my name's Andrews Jenkins, and it was nice to meet you." And he said, "Oh, I'm Wes Craven." And I'm like, wait a second. And this guy was like, Wes Craven, who's created some of the most twisted horror films on the planet, is literally the most unassuming, mellow-looking guy you can imagine. So maybe the most sick and twisted people are the ones who look kind of normal.
Okay, now you're starting to scare me even more.
So you're saying...
I don't know. Have you guys ever seen Stephen King? That guy's really weird looking.
See, now you... I think one of the things about scary movies that are psychological thrillers, which is what I'm considering Shadow Lurkers to be, it's not so much as a scary movie, it's more of a scary movie that gets inside of your head. Those are the ones that have you sleeping with the lights on at night.
Oh, thank you. Movies like Jacob's Ladder are total inspiration. I love and that's kind of what we're going to be going for more in the full features. It's definitely sort of a mental thing, trying to mess with people's heads a little bit. I mean, I think we've all seen so many like huge Hollywood productions where they kind of overblow the special effects, but I think the most scariest thing is what you kind of create in somebody's head. So the more psychological we can get, I think the more frightening it is. That's why movies like The Ring work so well. It totally messes with your head. But if you break it down, it's a lot more simple than you think.
You're going old school. What's old is new again? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Just no 3D, please.
No 3D?
No 3D. For those of us with glasses, it's impossible.
Oh, really? But
yeah.
You know that scene where the shadow lurker comes out of the wall? How cool would that be if we did that in 3D?
Fine.
I feel like I'm already going to be scared enough. I don't know if I need that in 3D.
Yeah, I know, right?
Here's my 3D glasses right here. Let's wear it.
I'm going to make sure that the theater
Kevin,
is
you
full.
would say that.
Okay, you win.
Oh, check him out.
3D it is, darn. Okay, if you do it in 3D, you gotta, bring to somebody's attention that there are some of us who actually wear glasses already.
Yep. Well, actually, did any of you guys see the Avengers in 3D?
I haven't seen Avengers yet.
No, I refuse.
Haven't seen
Not
it
the 3D.
Oh, are you for real?
I know,
What is wrong
I
with
haven't.
you people?
I've been in Melbourne.
Girl, I would have taken you when you were here.
Australian travels.
Oh,
No, I
boy.
had planned on going before I left, but there was so much stuff I had to get done, and then I still had to run my business. So, 3D,
Yeah, it would have been awesome in 3D, but I just have a bad experience from so many 3D movies where I either have to wear my glasses or I go in and I'm wearing contacts and I end up having this headache by about halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
And I hate it. It ruins the experience entirely.
No,
So
I totally get it.
2D the whole way for me.
No, the reason I bring it up is I don't know about the theater around you, but the Avengers, when I went and saw it here, they had a different style of 3D glasses. And it wasn't the red and blue kind, and it had a bigger frame.
Either real 3D or
Are you
the
talking about these?
There's not
Polarized.
even those. They're
Yeah, this says real 3D.
Oh, you got that at NAB.
yeah.
Those are the NAB.
Do you believe
Yeah,
them when
I
they
got
say
this
that?
at the NAB. Okay, hold on, wait.
Very nice.
You should wear those all the time.
they don't
I really
recommend. They
appreciate
don't
your
recommend
vote on
you
that.
doing that.
No.
They told you do
But
not
see,
wear those all the time.
how else do we see though? Give me some solution to how those of us with glasses that can see 3D then.
We're gonna have to
You're
pay
not
the
supposed to see 3D.
glasses.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to buy another pair of glasses just for 3D.
Oh, there you go.
Yep,
Prescribed
yep.
glasses.
Prescribed 3D glasses.
3D is only for those who don't need glasses.
Oh, right.
Everybody else.
You know what,
Just
Creighton?
been shunted to the back
I
of
might
the
just
queue.
fly to Seattle instead.
Yeah.
Oh.
So, I know that one of the things that came up in previous hangouts was and I'm quite sure the guys want to know the when the battery falls and the boy goes after it, and he's starting to get pulled into the shadow.
Right.
Can you kind of explain that whole series of why you had the battery fall and the boy go after it, and then he gets pulled in, even though we know he's going to get pulled in.
Right.
And just screaming at the TV, going, "Don't do it!"
Yeah. Well,
do it.
I mean, you got to have that moment. You got to have the "don't do it" moment because everybody knows what's going to happen, and you know, and I kind of like the idea of the battery rolling out of the shadow and then kind of rolling back in, taunting the kid. I don't know. I just thought it was a good sort of almost classic Spielberg kind of maneuver to do that because everybody knows it's going to happen, and that's kind of one of the things I love about horror films is it's not always the unexpected that scares you. It's those moments that you know are coming, and people are going, no, don't do it. It's going to get you. I mean, I don't know. I think that's some of the most fun stuff that in movies.
How about any special camera tricks that you've done with this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at the risk of repeating myself for some other folks, that scene where the kid gets dragged into the shadows, actually the way we filmed that was we created a ramp that was like on a 45-degree angle that was like 20 feet high, and the camera was positioned at the top of the ramp like this, and the kid was holding on and then let go and slid down into the darkness. But the way we did it, obviously you can't tell that it's at an angle because it's in the shadows, so it feels like he's getting sucked back. So it's just kind of an old school trick to make it feel like he's getting pulled in sort of a slightly supernatural way.
Couldn't you just have someone tugging on his foot?
No.
Because that seems so simple. Like maybe tie a rope to his foot or something and just pull him.
The thing is, like when we did that, we kept trying to drag him back, and it just felt like too much, almost too human. So the idea of like this ramp thing, like it kind of had this weird vibe. It just didn't quite feel right, and it was kind of it just gave it sort of a weird supernatural vibe to it. But that poor kid, we dragged him all over the place. What a good sport. Oh yeah, yep.
So what kind of cameras did you use on the shoot?
Actually, we used two kinds of cameras. One was an Alexa, an ARRI Alexa, which is kind of like a Red, but it's a little more developed. And then the other camera was actually a really basic Canon 5D, which is just a consumer camera. And when I initially did that, I was thinking most of the movie was going to be on the Alexa. And I just started shooting the Canon thinking, oh, there's some extra footage if it works out great. But the more I shot, the more I realized it was really cool, and it was actually editing really well with the other footage. So I was actually quite impressed. Excuse me, guys, I'm losing my voice. And that footage really edited well together. So I think almost half that movie is Canon 5D, which is kind of cool.
So for the do-it-yourselfers,
cool.
They have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, that was totally my film geek side. Sorry, guys. ARRI Alexa, Canon 5D. Yeah.
Is that becoming more standard?
But we used to, yeah. I think there's a few films that are going to start using the Canon 5D, and even there's some shows being shot with it. And I mean, one of the reasons is you can get more of them, and you can do more things to them. This is not relating to Shadow Lurkers, but I was just shooting something for NASCAR, and I needed to mount some cameras to a car going 150 miles an hour. Well, if you've got this big old camera, it's never going to work, but a Canon 5D is pretty small, so I just mounted it right on the grill So you can, really put those things in places that normal cameras can't go. So yeah, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more consumer cameras being used for professional film and TV. Yeah, I love doing that kind of stuff.
Hey, cool. Oh, go ahead, Kim.
So, okay, no,
go ahead,
no. By all means.
No,
I was just going to ask. Obviously, you planning to go to the studio and say, this is what I've got, and this is the following that I've got already in the next couple of days. What if they say yes? What are your steps from there? What are you planning on doing? What are your goals for all this?
The usual process. I've done one other movie before this, and from there we go into pre-production, and it becomes a huge thing about casting. We go into the casting process first because depending on what names get attached to a project kind of changes everything from budget level to where we're going to shoot. So a lot of those things kind of come out. So it sounds terrible, but different names sort of mean different things for different regions. So there's some names and stars that do better internationally. There's some that are great here but don't do so well overseas. So that kind of becomes a big thing. So it's a little bit of a push and pull of trying to get the cast that you want, but also being collaborative enough to get a cast that's going to sell the movie well. So that's kind of the first step. And then you go into pre-production, and that's when you put the team together. Who's the cinematographer? Who's going to be the effects team that works with us? Where are we going to shoot it? There's a lot to be considered with where. I mean, LA is obviously an obvious answer, but there's also places like Vancouver, Canada, that are amazing to shoot at. I've filmed a bunch up there, and a lot of great stuff is shot up there. And then sort of unconventional places like New Orleans. The whole state is giving movie productions these huge tax credits back, which I know that sounds silly, but oh yeah, I mean, it sounds like not much, but if you're spending $10 million on a movie and they give you a 30% tax break, that's $3 million extra dollars for production. I mean, so all that stuff, Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
I said Pittsburgh.
Oh, I'm shot in Pittsburgh. Are you in Pittsburgh?
Yes.
Didn't M. Night Shyamalan shoot a few things there or something there?
We've had so many things recently because just like you said, they extended the tax breaks for movies.
Yeah.
But that obviously is supporting the industry, though, is it not, by doing something like that?
Oh, it's a great way to support the industry and the local community because film production in many ways is it's a clean industry. It's not like we pollute or make anything that's wasteful. So for a city to sort of work to bring production into town, it gives a lot of jobs to the area. It doesn't require that the city has a big infrastructure or has to change anything. So it's amazing to me that LA actually isn't more aggressive because you've got cities like Pittsburgh, New Mexico, and all these places that are giving these huge incentives to bring production in, and a lot of it's leaving LA.
Going to Canada.
Or going to Canada.
Australia.
Yeah. Or Australia. No, seriously, a lot of production.
Australia.
Yeah.
They're being outsourced.
You're ruining our tax dollars.
Yeah. I mean, and you saw Peter Jackson. I mean, he basically built up a whole empire in New Zealand just because it was, they got a lot of tax breaks and not a lot of people had filmed there before, and so he could sort of build up an original infrastructure. So he did an amazing thing there. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So Australia will definitely be on the list.
Yay!
Yay!
If not for this one, then for your next one.
Oh, I hope so.
Well, wait, you gotta come to Seattle so I can do this.
Seattle.
I just want to say, I'm originally from Portland, Oregon, so Pacific Northwest tonight. Yeah. I love Seattle.
Yeah, my homeboy.
Well, the cool thing about Portland and Seattle and Vancouver is you can kind of get that sort of creepy X-Files look going on.
Oh,
there's great locations going on.
Yeah.
In the woods.
Because it's always raining.
Never stops.
Yeah, okay.
Ever.
Too funny.
It's sunny outside right now. What are you talking about?
Right. How many days a year do you get sunshine?
2, 3.
And then what's your average temperature there? Not that high.
Not that
Oh, everybody's starting to bust on you.
All right.
Back to what we're talking about.
It was perfect for Twilight. It was
It's
perfect
funny
for Twilight.
when you
That
end
was
up
the
doing
worst
a
movie ever
movie,
made.
you end up living in that area for a long time, so you do have to kind of consider if you want to be at a place. I mean, you could end up being there for a year, so I better pick a place I like.
You know, getting back to what Kim was talking about, with the next step,
Yeah.
how long does it take to pitch and to get to the casting component?
There's kind of no magic number, but it could be really fast. It all depends on if a studio gets right behind it and wants to get it in production. It could really only be a matter of a couple months between the official green light and then casting and then into production. So, and particularly, there's sort of this new wave of movies, and I keep bringing up the example of Joss Whedon with movies like Cabin in the Woods, where you've got these huge movies that are like $100 million blockbusters, but you've got a lot more movies that are really great ideas that are being produced for like, $7, $8, $10, $15 million. And the reason I bring that up is those movies get greenlit faster because they're slightly less risk for the studio. And in my opinion, I'd rather have more autonomy with a slightly lower budget to do more than get saddled with a bunch of money, but then it takes forever to get the thing done. So yeah, I mean, it could only be a few months, conceivably.
Do you think you'd complete the movie before the end of the Mayan calendar?
You mean December 21st? Not before the end of the Mayan calendar, but before the big Mayan eclipse. Which, just so you know, it's not the end of the world. It's the resetting of the Mayan calendar. So it's a new era. Whatever they mean.
When is the Shadow Day?
Oh my God, guys!
Yeah,
the Shadow Day. I have to go back and look it up, but it's like I think it's the second.
Is that going to be the red carpet premiere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what happens if we have the premiere and then actually all these shadow lurkers really do come out? Then we're totally screwed.
They're not going to sell any tickets.
It was his idea. It was his idea, not mine.
It was your creation. We hold you completely responsible.
Actually, the research for the film has been kind of fun. I never knew I was going to know so much about Mayan mythology and the whole culture, but ended up researching a lot. And in fact, I went down to the Yucatan a couple months ago and went to Chichen Itza, which is that huge pyramid where it was designed with shadows in mind. It's amazing. 2,000 years ago, they built these perfect pyramids that are positioned so that if the sun hits them the right way, it creates the shadow of a snake that comes down. And I got so much good material for the script just out of that visit. It was kind of amazing.
What's the name of it?
Chichen Itza?
The Mayan Chichen Itza. Yeah. It's spelled Chitzen. Yeah.
ITZA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's an amazing place.
I don't know if you know I think Venus is lining up with our planet, and we're having an eclipse. Do you know anything about that whole thing in the next couple of days?
Yeah, coming tomorrow, right? It's the big lunar eclipse. Thank you, Edwin. So our debut tomorrow is lining up with the lunar eclipse, and we'll see what happens.
Isn't there Venus coming in there too somehow? Isn't Venus lining up?
Yeah. The reason this next couple of years is so important on the Mayan calendar is not only the eclipses, but the planets are aligning, which only happens every millennia, basically. And we're going to live in a millennia where, very shortly we're going to have Venus, the moon, and the sun lined up as an eclipse. But then on 2012, December 21st, all the planets are going to line up. So who knows what will happen.
Ooh. Awesome. Well, you're all being scared. I'm excited about that.
No, I think it'll be great.
shadow workers, we're going to have zombies, we're going to have all sorts of madness happening.
Is that Deanna
That's what a
talking
shadow
to
lurker
us?
sounds like.
Yeah.
I actually love Deanna's the look there. You got the total shadow lurker look going on.
Yeah, see? Don't need CG, just need me. I am a shadow lurker.
You kind of with the dreads, it's a bit of a mix of predator versus shadow lurker. I love it.
All right, so yeah. Anything else you want to add about the movie? Maybe about how what else you want us as a community to do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to apologize, guys. My voice is going out, so I haven't been as articulate or talkative as I could be. But honestly, the sort of core reason behind being here, period, is, like I said from the very beginning, this genre is all about a real loyal, passionate fan base. And, I go to things like Comic-Cons, and I think forums like, the Nomies, you guys are, passionate about sharing your interest. And I, from the start, thought, the movie should start with the fans and bring that to the studio and show them the power of the fans, rather than just having a studio make something and market it at us. So really what this is about is creating a fan base even before we get to the studio. So the thing that would really help the most is just sharing this with as many people as you can. Could make a huge difference. So when I walk into the studio this week, I can say, look, 20, 30, 40, 50,000 people are behind this. You better listen to, bless you. You better listen to what the fans want. And I really do think social media could have a huge impact on what the industry produces. If we tell them through our own numbers what we want, they'll listen. So I really would appreciate it. The more you guys can share it and get people to sort of pass it around, I think the better chance we have.
I actually have another question for you, see, because the problem, I don't know how well you guys can hear me. The problem with niche markets, of course, is the fact that it's a niche market. A lot of studios right now just want something that's mainstream, just some bullshit out there that everybody can watch and enjoy, or just millions of idiots can shit like, your Jersey Shores and all of your reality TV is out there. So, don't even get me started, Kim. But, when you're pitching, it's like, I don't know if you've had direct conversation with studios yet, but it's like, how are they coming at you? Because that's what they want. They want the next huge thing, and genre films are, for the most part, not that. It's like, the genre fans are very hardcore, but they're not the same.
Well, I think you bring up a really excellent point, and this is how I've approached it with them, is it is a genre film, but those fans are 10 times more passionate and likely to support a project than something that's just sort of run-of-the-mill, middle of the road. And the key to that, though, is also creating some ancillary ties to the film. For example, Shadow Lurkers as a film would be a really perfectly logical segue to the video game, and getting those to actually work as one, or even then going into a TV series. So if we can expand a niche genre, but then make it about more than just one thing, then we actually do expand that audience as far as the studio is concerned. And the thing is, these fans are more likely to follow us from one film into a video game, into TV series, and all that kind of stuff. Whereas, like you said, your typical Jersey Shore person, that's passive, lazy TV watching. They're not going to do anything about it, the second that show's over. They're not going to blog about it. They're not going to write about it. But horror, thriller, sci-fi fans, they do. To this day, I bet you guys are still talking about Firefly, and you're still talking about Battlestar Galactica. And, I can't tell you what, and for the life of me, I can't tell you what happened on the Jersey Shore 5 years ago. But so I have a lot of faith in the fans for this genre, and I think we can have a big impact. And slowly, and I know I sound like some champion, but slowly our voice is being heard. And already on Friday, we hadn't even launched this thing. I started to get calls from a few key people like William Morris and Paradigm, and funny enough, Michael Bay Films, which I'm probably not supposed to say any of this, but I'll let you guys know. So this week will be pretty important. And I'd really like to go in there and
Lots of
say, look, the fans are supporting this. It's worth doing. And I have a feeling, they might listen.
cool.
Crossing fingers.
One last question. Does anyone have any one last question? Because we want to make sure we let Michael get plenty of rest because he's going to be hopping tomorrow. We're going to have him in Hangouts in the morning, and he's going to do. He's going to be on one of the news coasts. Yeah, he's going to be on Melissa's news show, and and then we're going to have him in some more Hangouts and other newscasters. We are going to have him busy this week. So one last question so he can get plenty of rest.
Oh, God. This week is also E3. There are 4 press conferences tomorrow. Jesus. I'm sorry. I'm just lamenting about how busy tomorrow's going to be for me. Ignore it.
Yes, we try to, but you make it hard. Okay, one last question. Anyone else?
I just want to know how you're feeling about it. Like, are you feeling like this is going to work?
That's a great question. You know what? I was nervous until the last couple days, and all of a sudden I've seen this momentum building, and I actually feel pretty confident. I've seen so many pitches go into the studios, and I've been there and I've watched them, and I've seen big movies made with far, far less. So for us to be able to go in with a real fan following and with people blogging about it and showing the numbers, I really do think they're going to pay attention to this. I mean, you got to remember, these guys greenlight movies off of scripts that are like so bad every single day. So if we go in there with an actual teaser film that visually shows them what the thing's going to look like with the script and then with support of fans, that's a pretty good combination as far as the studio is concerned, because all they're looking to do is see, okay, this is something that's real that we know we can get behind, and I feel good about it. I'm superstitious, so I don't want to say for sure, but I feel pretty good. Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I don't want to sound cheesy, but it's round tables like this and geeks of the round and fellow nomies. I mean, that's what's really going to make or break this. So I really do appreciate all of your help.
One question, or
Thank you guys
one
so
comment,
much.
or one question, or PitchCon is coming up this week in Los Angeles, where a whole bunch of people are going to be pitching to the studios. I know you're not doing it, but do you think that's going to take away from what we're doing here, or will PitchCon help you? Find a movie producer to make this thing happen because of what we're doing now.
Well, yeah, actually, I think it's going to help. And a little bit of this is slightly by design to sort of get in and around that. I didn't want to be in it think about it this way. If you've got a crowd of people and you're trying to shout, look at me, you're not as likely to be seen as if you step aside. So I wanted PitchCon to be going on and then for us to be doing something totally unique, because all the studios are going to be in that mode of let's look at new ideas, So this hopefully is going to come out of left field and not something that they were expecting to see. And then I've got a management company called Leverage, and they produce Entourage and Boardwalk Empire, and it's owned by Mark Wahlberg. So we actually do have some weight behind us. So it's sort of the combination of what we're doing here, and then they're going to take it in, and with any luck, we'll make a little more noise than PitchCon.
So if we tweet the guys from Entourage, perhaps, you think they'll respond back to us?
Yes, absolutely. Jerry Ferreira, the guy who plays Turtle, he's well aware of the project. So tweet at him, and he'll definitely be putting it out there.
Here's giving you guys the link to his profile.
And then the funny other one is, you guys know Kid Cudi? He's got a pretty huge following, and he's going to be tweeting about it. I'm trying to think of anybody else. Yeah.
I see Kid Cudi online.
Yeah.
Kid Cudi.
Kid Cudi. But yeah, Jerry Ferreira from Entourage, for sure. Tweet at him, because then he'll get active. He knows all about it.
Okay, it's Kid Cudi online, because the Kid Cudi is suspended.
He's a musician.
Okay, there's Kid Cudi.
I'm gonna tweet him right now.
Right on, guys.
If you guys want to take screenshots, let's get a
Oh
screenshot.
yeah, this is new, Andrew.
And
Just look pretty. That we're all gonna take screenshots. of you.
smile.
Okay.
And we're gonna say just hung out with Andrew Andrew Jenkins, Shadow_lurker. Lurkers. Let me give you guys that. Shadow_lurkers.
Diano, I love the look.
You hear the sound.
Okay. Yeah, and also feel free to like the YouTube video and pass that on to get people to like it too.
Oh yeah, please. That's
awesome.
That's really, really important.
So,
thank you, guys.
Edwin and I were kicking around some names for what we're calling ourselves. And we're calling ourselves lurkers. All the people who are supporting Shadow Lurkers, we're called lurkers.
I like it. Yes, please.
So
Lurk on.
You do know that lurkers has its own meaning
I know.
on itself, so
yeah,
I don't know about that one.
Just like Nomi's had its own meaning before you guys took on Nomi.
You could be lurks.
Is there something wrong with the Shadow Society?
Ooh, go for the conspiracy angle. I like it.
Shadow
I
Society.
like it.
SS.
Okay, what are the people inside called?
I'm sorry?
What are the people inside? If we go with Shadow Society, what will the people
They're the
inside
insiders,
be
you mean.
called?
Ooh.
Yeah, like we were saying lurkers because that was easy to say, oh, are you a lurker? Like you can say, are you a Nomi? You know. So what are we going to say about those who are inside of, who are part of the Shadow Society? What are their nicknames going to be? It has to be something that's easy to remember and that is easily identified with Shadow Lurkers.
Might have to be lurkers. We might have to take that back from the internet.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
I say we jack it. We're name jacking.
I think we can do that. I think we can jack it.
We're lurkers.
Shadow Society Lurkers. SSL.
Yeah, see, that's perfect.
Okay.
I like it.
And because I like y'all so much, I won't charge royalties for the idea or anything.
You've already licensed it. You just might as well take it on.
Yeah, you guys want some points in the film? We could.
Oh, just so you know, we're encouraging Coach Seal to get on the bandwagon about the date pillow.
The date pillow.
Yes.
Hey guys, Twitter's looking pretty cool with Shadow Lurkers, by the way. I just did a bit of a search. Yay! It's looking good. Looking good.
So Lurkers is good. Shadow
on.
Society
Right,
Lurkers. Okay.
Thank you, Nomi. Thank you, Geeks of the Round. Thank you, Deanna. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Kim.
And
You're
we're now all
welcome.
officially lurkers.
Miss Beasley and Miss Flowers. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Australia!
Very much. Very successful launch in Australia.
Alright.
Right on.
Yes.
So
So
keep
we're
it
gonna be
going
hanging-
so we make some noise tomorrow.
We're gonna be hanging out
Working on
tomorrow. And
Okay.
and so if you know of anyone that you think would love to get in here and pick Andrew's brain, let either Edwin or myself know so we can get them on the list. Because
Alright.
I think tomorrow we may do some on-air stuff.
Yep.
I think that's what we're going to try to do. We did it today, not on air, because we wanted to give the flexibility of people to invite other people in. So tomorrow is on air. Yay!
Sounds good.
Okay.
And Andrews, I think I've kind of figured out a way that it's like, I mean, because I've been trying to work it out to introduce you directly to my audience without just kind of shoehorning it in there and making it look forced. I think I've got a couple of ideas, and I'm going to play around with it. But I'll let you know more about that in the future. I'll probably have you on 2 shows. One actually, and this is going to surprise you, but there's a reason for it. Not discussing shadow lurkers much, and then I'm getting into it on full tilt. Because it's like, I mean, for my audience, it's like, I mean, my audience is absolutely 100% pure geek. In order for them to listen to you at all, we're going to have to prove to them your credibility. And I've thought of the way to do that. So, and after we've done that, then it's like I want to have you back on specifically to talk about shadow lurkers with a couple of my regulars on the show, yeah, I've got it all sorted.
That's awesome. I'd love that. I'm 100% game.
All right, William. Thank you. William already got the picture out there.
Please count me in.
Alright guys, I gotta go and start some tutoring, so I will see you all in the future.
Okay, we're out of here too. Thank
Have
you, Kim, for hanging in with us today.
Bye.
Bye, all. Thank you guys for coming and supporting.
Bye.